51 participants at the moment. Yeah. Okay, shall we start now? I can do the accepting while you speak.
Okay. Okay, everybody, let's begin. So you are warmly welcome to this Get Ready AI for Cities Bootcamp info webinar, and we will shortly go through the agenda. So thank you for joining, and sorry about the hassle with the time. We are still a bit mixed with our summertime here in Finland. But yes, we will go through the AI for Cities Bootcamp info at this webinar. We will start with Kaisa Sibelius from Forum Virium, the project coordinator, and she will go through the project introduction. Then we will get some information about the bootcamp itself, and Hannu Latvarasku and Satu Huotari, myself, will present that one, and then we will have time for questions. Feel free to ask any questions during the presentations in the chat. I will be responding there, and when we have the actual questions and answers session at the end, you can ask questions via the microphone as well. But please use the chat function for now. So, Kaisa, you're welcome, and please.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's start with the I will present you the project itself, that the AI for Cities project, and also telling about the PCB process, which is maybe not so familiar to many of you. And as said, my name is Kaisa Sibelius, and I'm coordinator of this project, and I'm coming from the Forum Virium Helsinki, which is a development company of the city of Helsinki. And this webinar and the upcoming bootcamp are the part of the open market consultation phase of the PCB process. The aim of the open market consultation phase is to refine the scope of the request for tenders, as well as to check with the market on the state of the art and innovativeness. PCB means pre-commercial procurement, and in open market consultation phase, project is looking for feedback and understanding from the markets for the preparing the request for tenders. Next, I'm going to present the process and principle of the project, and PCB, this presentation will be shared with you after this event. So, and here are those topics, so let's move on. Okay, and AI for Cities is a project of 6 cities: Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Paris region, which is presented by the business cluster and development company CAP Digital, Stavanger, Tallinn, and Helsinki, and Forum Virium is presenting the city of Helsinki as well. These cities and organizations are creating so-called buyers group. And the seventh member of the project is ICLEI, which is supporting the project and taking care of the communications. And from the total of 6.6 million euro budget, 4.6 million euro are dedicated to suppliers of the PCP. And here is the reason why this project has established. All these cities have set goals to fight against the climate change and to become carbon neutral. The Baltic cities have targeted years when they want to be a carbon neutral, although the time period is long, is Copenhagen's goal already 5 years away. And here is as an example where the CO2 emissions are coming in Helsinki. So totally 95% of the emissions are from energy, like heating and electricity, and transportation. And from the previous, you can perhaps already guess that what are our focus areas. All the cities have defined the principles and actions, how they are working out the climate challenges. And our aim in this project is to find ways to utilize the AI-based technologies and concentrate on those domains, mobility and energy. The usage of the AI technology should also bring some added value on the solution. The cities of the buyers group have already identified some challenges, but I'm not going to present them now, but you can find challenges from as examples from the project website. But in this context, I like to highlight that we are interested in your ideas and possible solutions, and that's the purpose of the bootcamp. You can suggest any kind of solutions as long as they reduce CO2 emissions and utilize the AI technology. The rule that the solution is not available on the market is very fundamental in PCP. PCP is an instrument to make product development together with potential customers, which in this case are the cities of the buyers group. Because PCP is an R&D funding instrument, the minimum of the 50% of the project resources must be spent on research and development, which in practice means personal costs. And as I will explain more about the PCP rules a little bit later. And we are not going to provide technical specification or try to define how the solution should look like, but I have listed some high-level requirements for the usage of the technology. And as I already mentioned, AI should bring some added value for the solutions. And we have strategic goals like such as effective use of energy and support digitalization and data strategies of the cities. And we are looking for the better living and working conditions for the city and citizens, and reduce the carbon footprint and reduce cost by optimization. And who we are addressing? We have different target groups, but the most important are the companies, developers and consortiums, which have understanding for the climate change, energy or mobility sector and AI regardless of the geographical location of the tenderer, their size or governance structure. Although the competition is open to all, this is a European R&D tool. And as such, the minimum of the 50% of those project activities and budget usage must be taking place in EU or associated countries. So non-EU companies need to work via subsidiaries or in partnership with the EU companies. And their funding cannot be exceeded to 50% of the total budget requested. And secondly, for the partners, and for the companies, a functional solution for the needs of the cities can be a first reference for the solution, and real-life piloting can open the doors to the bigger markets. Secondly, For the partner cities, we are looking for new tools and achieve the CO2 carbon neutrality in a target time. For the other cities, we are sharing knowledge and experience of the PCP and information about the technological development. We have also a group of follower cities, so-called preferred partners, and these preferred partners can also offer a piloting site for the companies in the phase 3 in 2022. And third, we are informing different kind of local and global networks and stakeholders. Awareness about PCP information, about the city needs and interest, and about the prototypes and piloted solutions. And then next, I will present the pre-commercial procurement process for you. And innovation procurement is a relatively new and important tool since it allows the public sector to drive innovations from the demand side. So by the using of PCP, the cities can modernize public services faster and be able to cope with grand societal challenges or wicked problems such as climate change, which we would not be able to address via traditional public procurement instruments. It also creates opportunities for companies in Europe to bring research results to the market and gain leadership in the markets. In EU, via the Horizon 2020 program, there are two complementary types of innovation procurement. The first being the pre-commercial procurement, the PCP, which address the development and testing of innovative solutions, and the second being the public procurement of innovative solutions, PPI, which focus on the deployment of innovative solutions, such as the ones developed in PCP, like ours in AI for Cities. And PCP is a great innovation tools, not just for the cities, but also for the industry, research and developers. It helps cities to work together by tackling joint challenges and to challenge the industry to develop innovative solutions for public unmet needs. For us, the city buyers group and preferred partners, this brings the opportunity to compare alternative potential technologies and filter out the best possible solutions that the market can deliver to address our needs. And for you as a supplier, you can get the first customer reference, which creates a competitive advantages on the market. And here I have key principles of presenting the key principles of PCP when comparing with the traditional public procurement. And at first, it's a joint procurement. So we have multiple public procurers with a common need, join forces by forming a PCP buyers group. The buyers group is presented by the leaders procurer figure who acts on behalf of the group. All contracts are done by the lead procurer and in this case, Forum Virium Helsinki, in accordance with the local public law. Secondly, PCP is a high risk compared with the traditional procurement, since it focuses on disruptive innovations and not yet market-ready technologies that are applied in difficult contexts. So the proposed solutions need to bring radical innovation in the sense that no similar solutions are available in this moment or in the near term. Third is that PCPs provide a challenge which can be broken down into sub-challenges or specific needs. These are presented to you as functional specifications in the request for tenders when it's launched in December. So we do not provide technical specifications, but in fact, AI for Cities offer a wide range of so-called sub-challenges or needs in order to foster innovation. Our key criteria involves around helping cities achieve carbon neutrality. Fourth point is that as any challenge-based competitions, we have several suppliers competing through the different phases of development. This means a minimum of 2 suppliers should be involved until the procurement ends. Fifth fact is that in this process of shared risk and rewards, although the buyers group receive the right to utilize the solutions royalty-free, the IPR remains with the suppliers, which will have obligations to exploit it within a certain time frame after the project ends. This means we expect suppliers to provide their own resources in addition to the funding available. For that purpose, suppliers are requested to present their offers with and without the selling of IPR in order to us to properly calculate price under market conditions and the sharing the cost between the buyers and the suppliers. And PCP procurement of research and development of PCPs and procurement of research and development of new innovative solutions before they are commercially available. So the focus is on R&D, and we cannot fund any product development or the deployment of commercial volumes of end products. So there is the minimum requirement for the least 50% of the project resources to spend in R&D. And please note that as an R&D deployment service, PCPs fall outside WTO and EU directives that regulate public procurement. And we will still work within the principles of transparency and equality, but we will do work in a much more agile and flexible manner. And lastly, the procurement takes place over 3 phases in an interactive and collaborative way. And shortly before looking at the PCP phases in detail, here you have a consolidation of some of the most important points which I went through in the previous slides, so I'm not going to repeat them. But I want to leave this slide in the presentation for future readers to get a clear picture of the PCP instrument. Also, I want to mention these are not all the requirements. There are basic administrative and other requirements which need to be requested when applying to PCP request for tenders. But those will be included in the request for tenders documentation and also elaborated on the time of the request for tenders launch. And next we will look at the PCP phases. So as I said, the procurement are divided, PCP procurements are divided into phases 1 to 3. Prior to these phases, we have the preparation stage, which we call phase 0, consisting of the open market consultation and the preparation of the request for tenders. And on the open market consultation, it's a large co-creation process where the city buyers group engages with the market, presenting the challenges at hand and assess the existing products and technologies currently available and the potential for new innovative solutions. During this process, we get in the dialogue with a wide range of stakeholders so that we can have a better understanding of the common need, the interest of the other potential buyers outside of the group of procurers involved in the PCP, and the capacity of the market to respond to the challenges. The open market consultation started at last April and will be continue until end of September. This webinar and the co-creation bootcamps are activities with regards to establish the dialogue with the market. And so, based on the results that the open market consultations, the request for tenders or call for tenders is, as the other words, is prepared and launched. The request for tenders includes the thorough description of challenges, the city's background and expectations, and the processes in which we will evaluate the tenders. It will present a complete overview of the 3 phases, which spanned over 1.5 years, and ask you, possible suppliers, to present your concept, idea, and plans for its development and exploitation model. It will ask you to outline the unit prices per cost category, an estimate of the total cost of to implement each phase, but only the phase 1 budget will be binding. However, the unit prices will also be binding throughout the contract. The procurement starts with the PCP phase 1, the solution technical design, and we plan to have the 20 suppliers per lot, those mobility and energy, which mean totaling 40 suppliers. This large number reflects an expected wide variety of proposed solutions covering several of the sub-challenges or needs identified by the cities. The estimated budget for this phase is 1.6 million euros. Please note also that the budget and other numbers are still tentative. This phase lasts approximately 4 months, and it's designed to be highly interactive with all cities, providing as much insight in the challenges and needs as possible, so that you have the opportunity to get deeply familiarized with our realities, end user wishes, and underlying smart city infrastructure data, and etc. At the end of this phase, we expect to see an exhaustive technical specification of your solution, a plan for a prototype development, and phase 2 implementation plan, including the budget needed, and a business plan draft for its future exploitation. Prior to the end of the phase 1, we will provide you what we call a phase 2 call-off document, which elaborates on the request for tenders information by going deeper towards the requirements, timings, and phase 2 expectations. We also add there as much relevant information as possible from the buyer's side in order to help you to develop the best possible solutions. And based on these inputs, we firstly assess if you have performed well and successfully completed phase 1, in which case we evaluate your phase 2 offer and select the suppliers moving to the next phase. We expect to select 10 suppliers per lot in phase 2. This number can change depending on the quality of the offers and budget availability. You will have 3 months to develop your prototypes, so we expect suppliers to focus on the prototype development in the lean and agile way, so by the end of the phase they are mature enough to be able to be tested at end of phase in a lab environment. Similar to phase 1, prior to the end of the phase 2, we will provide you a phase 3 call-off document, which will outline in great detail how phase 3 will be performed, including some preliminary matchmaking between the supplier solutions and the cities where such prototypes could be tested if they moved into phase 3. At the end of phase 2, we will provide you prototype technical specs and run a demo. If your performance is considered satisfactory, we look into your phase 3 offers, and which must include your phase 3 budget, implementation plan, and an improved business plan, and to select who moves in the next and final phase. And in phase 3, we expect to have a minimum 3 suppliers selected per lot. Again, this number can change depending on the quality of the offers and the budget availability. Phase 3 lasts 6 months, and it focuses on testing of each solution in real-life setting in an expected minimum of 2 cities. During this, you will also continue to develop the prototype so that by the end of this phase 3, they are as mature and close to market validation as is possible under the constraints of the procurement process. And at the end of the phase 3, a supplier performance and solution functional evaluation takes place. Our expectation is that the prototypes deployed and improved during this phase are mature and relevant enough that we, the cities, will have the interest to continuing to use these versions as foreseeable future, which would mean your performance was considered successful. And so at the stage of procurement ends, but we still have a phase 4, which focused on the result promotion. During this 4 months, we will consider possible next steps, including the joint procurement plan for the how to move forward with the learnings and the how to best scale up all or some of the solutions, including our preferred partner group. We expect you to still be engaged here to varying degree. As a minimum, the final solutions considered successful will be invited to join a large-scale final conference and workshop where you will take on a center stage, presenting your solutions and discuss with us and our broader pool of potential buyers how to continue the collaboration. And here is here you have a compilation of the budget allocated per phase and per supplier, and keeping in your mind that these figures are merely indicative in this stage. And before ending my presentation, I want to show you the contract procedure. You can submit more than one applications, but they have to be clearly different from each other, and you have to decide in which slot your application belongs. And I give you some reference websites and tools with lots of information of PCP, examples and tutorials. And in my last slide, I recap the project estimated timeline in the next few months before the launching of the request for tenders. The call will be open 90 days from the launch and will be tentatively end in the end of February. And so, and this is all from my side, and in this point, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kaisa. And now we will move to more phase 0 specific information, so information about the bootcamp. Just a second, and we will switch the presentation.
Yeah, that was the presentation about the BCP process as a whole, and I hope now you understand why the cities and the EU want to organize this kind of processes and what is the goal of this AI for Cities project. But now me and Satu here at Industry Hack, we want to go through with you what is your role in this phase 0 and what can you gain by participating. So first of all, here is the timetable for the bootcamp. First date you kind of need to worry about is 11th of this month. That is the deadline for requests to participate, and before that deadline comes, we have these 2 events to help you, first of all, in this info webinar to understand what is this whole thing about and why should you join. And as another event, we have a matchmaking event then to help you find partners if you find that necessary. Later this month we have the co-creation days, and still in in the last stages where us from Industry Hack we will be involved. We will organize another matchmaking event similar to the one before during the PCP application time, and also a coaching webinar during the PCP application period, where we will kind of try to help you make a good application. So we will coach you on what to say, what not to say, and what to remember during the Okay, let's go through the events. So next we will have the matchmaking event, which is on the on the 8th. And what will happen during that matchmaking event is that you have 2 to 3 minutes to make your pitch. What we expect you to pitch about is what is your situation, what is your team, what kind of skills do you have, and what skills are you lacking or, let's say, looking for. And so then others in the matchmaking event can kind of decide if you would be a good partner, and then contact you after the event. And the event is meant only for those who are looking for additions to their team. So it's not possible to join the matchmaking event only to listen what others are looking for, or just hear out. So if you want to come to the matchmaking event, you have to make your own pitch on what you are thinking of, what are you looking for, and so on. And then I also want to remind you that the matchmaking event is quite late in the application period, so you might want to reserve time for talks with potential partners. And you also need to, after that, you have basically 3 days to go through the talks and decide how you want to cooperate, and also fill out your common request to participate. So don't book your calendar full for those days. Leave some time for the discussions. Then about the co-creation days, this is a basic outline what will happen during the co-creation days. So depending on which track you have applied for, you will either be participating on the mobility event on the 23rd or the energy event on 24th. And both days will open with the welcome session, where we will go through the practicalities of that day. So there will be no more, let's say, expert
introductions.
Yeah, there will be introductions of the experts and a welcoming session, but no more like long speeches about any of the PCP process or things like that. So that is the co-creation day is meant for the actual co-creation work. And who are we exactly looking for to participate on these co-creation days? Well, definitely teams who are thinking that this AI for Cities pre-commercial process might be good for them, but they're not sure. So they can come in and learn more about what the cities are thinking, and maybe the solution we have been thinking about or developing already a little bit, if that fits the ideas the cities have. And also increasing your understanding in in the needs that the cities have. And the day will consist of one-on-one sessions with the city mentors. The city mentors are people who in practice work with the problems and the needs that the cities have. And then we also have a few AI, energy, and mobility experts with whom you can kind of talk about your solutions and what other points of view or technologies you might think of, and they can help you develop your idea further. And it's quite normal that maybe when you come to the co-creation day, you could have 10 possible ideas on how to collaborate with the cities, what your solution could be. And this is a really good time to define from those 10 which one is the best that you want to kind of apply the PCP process with. So valuable contribution from the city mentors to that to help you decide which solutions and how you should develop them. And there will be short breaks during the day, also lunch break, and then during the ending session we will go through again only a few practical details on what we want from you. And maybe the most what we want from you is feedback from your point of view. What have you learned and what do you think might be the good solutions? But I will come back to the feedback soon. This is to help you visualize what will happen during that day. So basically your team will have a meeting with some expert and then a little bit time to talk with you between yourself, what you learned and how what new questions came up, and then you will meet another mentor and so on. Your day will be basically filled with meetings.
Yes, so this is only a draft that you are seeing. Please don't take any notes about this. We have not decided how many sessions each team will have at this point, so this is just to give you an idea of how the day will look like.
Yeah, the number of teams is not set to 12. It is also not set to the 20 we have told you. The 20 is the maximum number of teams, and depending on the request to participate and then the quality of your ideas, that number can change. And since we don't know the number of teams, and we also still don't exactly know the number of mentors, so this is only a draft how things might go. So moving forward, the key thing we will discuss at the end of the co-creation day is we want feedback from you from the mentoring sessions. We expect you to fill a feedback form, and with that feedback form, it will be open for a couple of days after the event. And with the feedback, you can leave your, let's say, solution draft. And if you leave this solution draft for us, describing what are you planning your solution would be now that you have talked with all the mentors, we will send back written feedback on your solution. So even during the day, you don't need to end of the day, you don't need to have a clear picture of this is exactly what we would want to propose. You have a couple of days to kind of make it crystal clear on your own mind what would your suggestion be, and then still get one final round of feedback on that. And I want to strongly remind you that all the feedback you give us, all the coaching sessions and notes on the coaching and everything is strictly confidential. So everything you talk with the mentors, you don't need to worry about that it will not become public. So you can freely talk with the mentors. You can freely leave your feedback and solution draft, and all the results, even after this, will all belong to you, and they will be kept confidential. So when you apply to the PCP process, all the work you have done with us on the co-creation will be, no one else will know about that. So it will not become public. Okay, finally, these events are quite far in the future, but I want to go through that. In December, we will have another similar matchmaking event. There again, you can make pitching about what are you planning, what kind of partners or people are you looking for to join you, and then you're free, and you also have to by yourself contact those interesting partners and have talks with them. How would you collaborate? This is complementary to the matchmaking on the AI4Cities.eu website. Make sure you check out that as well. There you can, in written form, you can describe who are you looking for as a partner and what are you offering them. And then on top of that, during the application period to the PCP, we will have a coaching webinar where we will basically go through the request for tender document. You can ask questions about what the questions actually mean. If you haven't understood the question, or if there's some uncertainty how you should answer, we will go through example answers for all the questions, and I will try to help you make the best possible application you have ever done. So finally, coming to the end of the bootcamp subjects, the criteria how we will choose participants for the bootcamp. So we have three main criteria. First one is your capabilities. So how you as a person or your team members, and also how your company is seen as a capable supplier, and how we see your capabilities to develop interesting solutions. So previous experience in these kinds of projects is of course valuable, and then of course expertise in AI, mobility, and energy is very valuable. Then the second criteria is your initial idea or ideas. We understand that not all of you have settled upon one idea. You still might have many, and you can describe either the best idea you believe in the most. You can describe 1, 2, or 3 ideas. If you have 10 ideas, there won't be enough room in the text for you to describe them all, but you can talk about them in the bootcamp anyway, even though if you have an idea, if you come up with a new idea between the request to participate time and the bootcamp, you can definitely also talk about all your other ideas and new ideas. And then finally, we want to learn about your company's motivation to participate, how committed you are. So, for example, if you're planning to move forward with development of this solution by yourself, even if you're not accepted, or is your interest only limited to if you get into this PCP, how much your own resources are you willing to commit to this development, and what other plans your company has on this area. So that is of great interest to us. So we are looking for teams whose solutions are promising and who seem like they are capable, have good capabilities of developing those solutions. And we will also be looking at which teams would most benefit from our coaching. So this can mean that if you already have a really clear idea that this is what you want to do, and the idea is seems like really good idea from our point of view, and it's very clear that your team is like, let's say, prime candidate for the PCP, and then we are sorry, but that can also mean that you're left out from this boot camp, and we will definitely let you know where you left out in that case. And we will also try to give everyone who applied, requested to participate, some sort of general idea why they were accepted or why they were not accepted. So that is one reason not to be chosen, is that you're already too good or too far in advanced. So we see you as you're ready for the PCP process already. And this is basically the end of our presentation from Industry Hack and the bootcamp's point of view. And now we are open for all kinds of questions. There has been a lot of questions in the chat already. I hope you have been following those as well. And especially Petteri from Forum Virim has been really good in answering most of them.
And we will also answer those questions that we are not able to answer now or have time to do that. So we will go back and don't forget to check our AI for Cities webpage. There is a questions and answers sections, and many of these questions are already replied there. Yeah,
we will put on the bootcamp webpage some link if we will answer the questions either on the AI4Cities.eu site or we might answer them on the Industry Hack site. But the link will come into the page where you can read the answers to all written questions. So now you can ask for your turn to talk, and we will. You can ask your questions, or you can write them in the chat. And we have first question from Andrea. Is there a limit to how developed the idea or solution can be? Well, basically there is a limit on both sides. It needs to be clear enough, and now I'm talking about the December-January application period for the PCP. The idea needs to be clear enough that we believe it can be developed during the PCP process, and that your capabilities are strong enough to go through with that idea. And on the other hand, it cannot be an idea that is already ready for the commercial market. So this is a pre-commercial procurement, and
yes, and if you know about those technical readiness levels which EU is using, so we are targeted up to technical readiness level 7, which means that it's not ready for the market even in the end of this PCB projects after the phase 3, but there is an indication that it works, and there might be relevance to go further with the commercialization period or phases.
Okay, Andrea says if that was clear enough. So Manuel asked for renewable energy sourcing and sustainable energy road, who will invest in renewable energy projects?
Yeah, they can be. As said, the floor is open, and as long as you can show that it will reduce the CO2 emissions and is utilizing the AI technology in part of that solution.
Yeah, and so the project will invest in the development of the idea, and then it's possible that after this PCP process, the cities will together make an actual procurement of the final product. I hope that answers, Mano, your question.
Yes, and this bootcamp is for that, as you have already heard, that now we like to hear what kind of ideas you have from your side you have recognized, which might be effective for our challenges. And also in the website ai4cities.eu website, we have described some of those formalized challenges which might be in the part of that request for tenders in the end. But now that the situation is still open, and we are free, and we really like to hear your ideas.
Well, I hope that answered your question. Ask again if we weren't clear enough. Samar asked if you have two solutions you're considering, can you send two applications so one for each solution? Well, we would prefer you send one application and describe both of your solutions. And like I said, even if you described only one of them, you can also still in the bootcamp you can talk with the mentors and everyone about both of them.
Yes, and if I reply on behalf of the project and PCP, so you have to make the decision by yourself that which slot you are going to target your solutions. There is an overlap between those two lots, so decision is yours.
Hanna-Lisa is asking if the mentors and experts are local or is there an international pool of experts? And I can tell we have an international pool of experts. So even if you're, let's say you're from France, you can meet all the mentors from every country, and experts will be common to all the teams participating. So of course, this is a great chance for a company to learn what kind of solutions would work and are interesting outside your local area. So this can help you internationalize your solutions. So John is asking what factors are taken into account when determining the key capabilities. Well, it's impossible to give only one answer or definite list for all the things we're considering. But so your skills and expertise will be evaluated based on the references you give and how you describe your own skills, and also what kind of background and references you give for your company. So these are key capabilities. And of course, when I talk about references, I talk about references and skills in this kind of work we are doing. So some sort of new product or new service development. And then, of course, these technologies we are talking about here, AI, energy, and mobility. I hope that answers your question. So Veikko is asking, we would like to discuss financing and project preparations even without this hackathon. Would that be possible?
We are not, in the project perspective, we are not going to discuss about possibilities. We have to be open and transparent, so we can't have a negotiations with one by one with the companies and advising them directly. So that's not the idea of PCP though. So all kind of the information must be available for all the potential suppliers. So that's one principle of the PCP and procurement in general.
Yeah, Veikko, I suggest that you apply for the boot camp, and there in the boot camp you have possibilities to talk with the city representatives, also with me and Kaisa. We will be there, and these kind of things if you need. And when you say financing, you basically saw Kaisa's presentation how the financing in this PCP process goes, and when it comes to project preparations, that is something you can talk with the experts during the co-creation.
And if you have any questions, please send them by email for us. info@ai4cities.eu is the email address, so then we can reply that and give the same answer to everybody.
I will actually put the camera on so people will see us while we're answering the questions.
And there's Juan has asked that when you are looking for partners for the project, so can they be outside the EU? Yes, they can, but they can be subcontractors or partners, and the part can't be more than 50% of the whole projects. But that's possible. But they can't be the main supplier in this project.
So Andrew is asking, in the past, experience in mobility crashed over rigid rules of incumbent like HSL. That is, I think he's referring to this organization here in Helsinki, which takes care of our transportation here, public transportation. Can we mend existing rules and push aside? Well, HSL is not basically directly involved in this pre-commercial procurement. So,
and there are those other cities as well. So HSL is not the only one that transportation entities who can be the partners.
And I think we definitely are looking for solutions that disrupt the current mobility solutions. And what we definitely want is to take your solution to the commercial level. So you would be able to start selling that solution to all these 6 cities, but also all the cities in EU and all over the world as well. So Andrea is asking, is it possible to have an access to the data cities are collecting? In order to better develop our ideas, it would be beneficial to know which data is available and what are the cities collecting exactly. Well,
that can be asked from the cities directly, because it's varied from city to city, and also there is already something is available. But if your idea is good and it's possible to share that data or open that data, it might be doable. So don't hesitate to ask about those data resources in the cities.
Yeah. Since we basically have five large cities in this process and one huge region as well, the amount of data that is basically these cities are collecting, it cannot be listed specifically. It would be much easier for us if you could give us an idea what kind of data you're looking for, what would help you, so we can then of course try to provide some of that data already on the bootcamp stage, but at the latest we would then provide the data, or we could confirm that if you're chosen to the PCP, this data will be made available to you.
Yes, at least, and if we see that you can be selected in the first phase, and because there's a bigger amount of companies, and when you are going, if you are passing the next phases, so then we will confirm that how to make that data you are needed available. So it will be solved during the phases and process.
Okay, Marcelo asked about the level of funding during the 2020, and you can check the exact details from Kaisa's presentations. But if I remember correctly, it was on the first half of 2020, the maximum funding for one participant is 40,000 euros.
Yes, that's now we have. That's not confirmed, but that's our idea until now. So in the first phase it's 40,000, and in the second phase it can be 80,000, and in the third phase it's a little bit more than 200,000 euros, 240,000 euros, and so its maximum amount of that funding can be 360,000 euros per team or company.
And now I'm starting to think, if you, Marcelo, if by H you mean the Horizon 2020 level of funding, can you confirm which one you're asking in the chat? But you continue to questions with at least 50% of the cost have to be R&D. And he's asking what kind of other types of costs are eligible.
Well, the hardware is eligible for when it's there is a real reason to use it or buy some hardware. But the principle is that when it's research and development, it should be concentrating on that kind of work, which is personal work, yeah. But at least 50% it must have to be.
Yeah, well, in my mind, I've been thinking that some software solutions might require some commercial components or servers or something like that behind them. Is that possible is that eligible cost?
Yeah, I can check that is the list, that what precise list which are eligible, but some, when they are good reasons why they should be buy with this money. And you have to remember that this funding is not whole. This is the part of the whole budget of your project. So it's not the idea that this AI for Cities is paying all the cost. So you have to invest yourself as well on this project. So you can maybe in that part buy those the softwares or hardware components.
Yeah. So Andrea asks, is the presence of potential customers for the same solution outside EU considered as a plus? Well, generally I would say any interest for that solution anywhere is just a positive sign that that solution is good and it should be developed, and there is interest for that.
Yeah, it's not it's not restricted to the EU anymore. So it's good if we can spread the European knowledge and solutions around the world, making Europe more competitive.
Okay, Gianmarco is asking, should teams be formed only by technology partners, or are companies with urban planning and product development expertise welcome? In that case, should we apply as one team, or should the two companies send separate applications? It's hard to answer exactly without knowing a little bit more. I would say that whatever group of companies or people you need to develop that one solution, invite everyone who is everyone you need to develop that one solution to one team.
Yeah.
So
because it's not said that the other team, both teams will be selected. So it's preferable to have one team with one idea to solving and developing one idea. And it's not limited to number of partners, but the budget is for the whole team, for whole consortium, so that now Planet 40,000 and 80,000 and so on, they will be divided between the partners in the consortium.
I hope that answered. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, Marcelo is asking, can we know if the participating cities have systems for energy production from renewable sources? Well,
that's the same answer that we already asked, the answer to the questions about the data sources that can be presented and find out that and what kind of systems are now existing, or what are the plans. We have to remember that now we are looking for solutions that are relevant after few years, not now, because the piloting period is starting 2022, and you have to think about and look beyond that as well. So there is need after this third phase. There is a need in the market for that solution.
Yeah.
But good question, yeah.
Yeah, from my work with the city of Helsinki, I know there, at least here in Helsinki, we have some energy production with renewable sources, and I'm actually quite sure that all the cities already have some production with renewable sources, and also have probably made quite a few different kind of experiments and pilots with other things as well. That is also one thing you can talk with the city mentors during the boot camp. Yes,
and you can also check from the AI for Cities website. There is a listed some, as I mentioned, there is visions and strategies which are published by the cities. So there is also that kind of material that you can get more information about the plans of the cities as well.
Okay, Marcelo is asking, I'm sorry, I still don't exactly understand what you mean by H 2020 in terms of incurred cost. Maybe you could try to, or Kaisa, you're...
No, I don't understand. I don't have a better understanding that you what does that exactly mean. But we can come back on that question as well also later, and when we are trying to, and we will answer and add all questions which are not already available in our web page on that questions and answers part, so they will be added on there as well. So
okay, then we can move on to answer to Veikko about the if the companies need to have an upfront capital on their bank accounts to finance themselves, and some sort of will be reimbursed. Well, no, you don't need to have an upfront capital. We are interested if you're motivated or committed to use your own people and your own work time to develop this idea. We are interested to know if you plan to buy, let's say, some piece of machinery that you need to make your solution, that if you're willing to spend some of your own money, and then you can have some part of the money come from the PCB funding.
Yeah, but as said, this is a mutual project, so but it's not need to be in your bank account. It's not that kind of way that we are solving that. So, but you have to somehow show that what is your own funding or your own resources to do this project.
Okay, then Hanna-Liisa is asking about the budget and team investment. If that is maximum funding is, yeah, it's about 360,000 euros, and from the,
it's not defined what it should be, and you have to remember also that this 360,000 is the maximum. You can also ask less than that if you like. So it's not so that you have to spend all that money if you see that you doesn't need that all money.
Yeah, we cannot give an exact percentage or what we're expecting, but at the same time, we are hoping to find committed partners who are willing to invest their own time and resources as well, that they're not fully dependent on only for the PCB funding.
Right.
So, can cities help with gathering data? We have an app for that. How can we get in contact with the cities to find out? Well, definitely during the PCB process, the PCB is not only about giving you money, it's also giving you access to city data, giving access to city resources, and definitely that can be part of the work that you would be able to gather data with the city, or for the city, or for some city city processes or something. You haven't defined it exactly, but yeah, definitely the cities will be participating in the development work as well. So they're not only paying, but they're developing the solutions with you.
Right. Absolutely, because now we are trying to find solutions that will fulfill the needs of the cities. And the cities will make the decision, the final decision, that which project will be selected to the PCB.
So Bernadette is asking about well, now I tried to read it, it's the Horizon 2020 funding. It affects the buyers group, the cities. We, the bidders, place an invoice for the work. The price and the price breakdown have to be included on the economic offer in phase 1 once the PCB tender is open.
I think maybe Bernadette is just commenting, not asking.
Yeah.
Yes. Good.
Okay, Marcelo is asking about the percentage of funding of the cost incurred in the performance of AI City projects. You mentioned that we need to co-invest. So there was another question about that already. We cannot give you an exact percentage, but we are hoping and looking for partners who are committed to also invest themselves, because you have to remember that in the end of all this work, what the goal is for this whole work is for you as a company to develop a product that is profitable to you, that you can take that product to market, and your company will make profit from that. So we're helping you to invest in by giving the city resources and helping with the developing, also funding the development work. So that's why we expect you to also be involved fully and to be committed. It would be kind of strange that with public funding you could develop, wholly with public funding you could develop a business idea and then start selling and keeping all the profits to yourself. Yeah.
And I think then there's just conversation about the funding, not actually questions.
Yeah, and Guy has actually made a good answer that kind of I understand the question better, because you are not involved in Horizon 2020 program and you're not applying Horizon 2020 money. The AI for Cities project has already gotten the Horizon money from the Horizon funding, and you are now kind of applying into this AI for Cities program, and that program does not have any clear percentage limits of the funding.
And you just answered Willem's question.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start to wrap up. If you have any questions, Kaisa mentioned you can send them to the info@aiforcities.eu.
Yes, that's correct. And now I see that this funding is very you're very interested about that. So we try to make some more put some more materials on the website as well to clarify these rules of the fundings.
Thank you, Kaisa. And about the bootcamp, please feel free to contact either me, Satu, or Hannu from Industry Hack. We can help you with all the questions related to the co-creation days and the webinars and the matchmaking events that are part of the Phase 0 and the bootcamp.
And questions like this about the funding during the PCP process, of course, I will forward those questions to Kaisa, but it's easier if you ask the questions about the actual PCP process that will happen during the next 2 years. If you're interested in those stages and how things go there, you can go ask those directly from Kaisa.
Yes, correct. And using that AI info@aiforcities.eu email address.
Yes, and both of the presentations, Kaisa's project introduction and our presentation about the bootcamp, will be available at the Industry Hack Bootcamp website, which I will post link to now. Also, the record and the chat will be shared at the same site once Google has managed to process the recording. It will be available latest tomorrow morning. Thank you all for your good questions and conversations. We are so glad to see so many of you here, and we really hope to see many of you applying to the bootcamp.
Yeah, and definitely if you know someone else who should be interested in this bootcamp, you can share information about this with others. And if you need to, for example, in your company to discuss about some details, you can come back and look at the recording of this this info webinar.
But I wish you all a very nice rest of the day, and remember, next week Friday is the deadline for the bootcamp request to participate.
Yeah, and let's also, I already know that some of you are coming to the matchmaking event that is on Tuesday, so maybe we'll see some of you there.
Okay.
Thank you for my side
Thank
as
you.
well. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.